Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have to just do it. It's like I can tell myself I don't have to think about things that don't matter.
I was designed to do those things. How the hell does this guy know this about me?
It's impossible to not see.
When Dan read for my sister, she was like, he's psychic. She's like, how does he know that?
Yes.
She's like, it's human design, guys. Like, it's just a testimony of how legit it is.
Seriously, Danny was like FBI or CIA. He's like, how the hell does this guy know this about me?
Having my chart read, there were just thing after thing after thing that I was just like, wow, that's me.
This man is reading me and I've never met him before.
I was in the midst of one of the biggest emotional waves I've ever been in my life, and he saved my life.
It seems like everybody has the same reaction. It's that aha moment, and they want to find out more. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage podcast. My name is Jen, and decoding the matrix for us is Dan.
Jennifer, how are you? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I'm doing pretty good. And we have Kyle joining us. Thank you, Kyle, for tuning in.
Oh, good deal.
Today, before we get started, guys, it is July 13th. And you know what, Dan? I have been noticing that we have been really hitting like synchronistic things. It's actually our 13th episode and it's 7:13.
Good Lord.
I know ever since we started this, it's been a lot of synchronistic.
Wasn't it the 10th on the 10th?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. And it is a full moon. So,
good Lord, this is going to bring it out.
Yes. And with Kyle joining us, I know he operates on a 28-day cycle. And I myself am starting to implement living on a 28-day cycle. So I was like, wow, it's going to be a good show.
I tried the 28-day cycle, sort of. But then I stopped paying attention to it. So I feel a little bit timeless, and I live on an hourly, minutely, and daily cycle. So I can't tell if I'm on it or not. It's so funny.
That's why I missed Thursday's meeting, because I didn't have it in my calendar to alert me. I don't operate on days of the week and time schedule. I'm really tapping into my internal clock, which is in tune with nature. So
copy that. Can I say something about our guest, our person of the week this week, Mr. Julian?
Yes, absolutely. Let me give this over to you real quick, but you guys know what to do. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show, and give us a thumbs up and share this out before we get started. So I'm really excited to dive in. Dan, I'm going to give you the reins.
Julian. So Julian Assange, man, and by the way, my video editor wouldn't work, or else I would have a shiny little 2 or 3 minute video for us. But this man has created an uproar. He's one guy. He started his website called WikiLeaks, just WikiLeaks. And I don't know what the wiki stands for. There's probably a story behind that. And so he started leaking out material earlier in last decade, way early. And then it started to catch on. And then, boom, he blows up with this explosive stuff. And a military personnel had downloaded some 20 or 30,000 communiques between military people during the Iraq War. Somebody was a whistleblower and they said, in good conscience, I can't let this go unseen. And it was,
along with a lot of other stuff that couldn't be left unseen.
And so now governments are chasing him down, trying to find ways to prosecute him for like espionage, but he's not an espionage person. He's a person of conscience who basically is trying to get information out. Real espionage, I believe, would require him to be on a side and collect payments. And I'm not a lawyer, but I'm assuming that, he doesn't fit that criteria. But man,
no, from what I know about him and following him through, all my stuff, he's always he talks a lot about the media. And for you guys who are not familiar with media, it's all that they create the problem. They're not a solution. They create a problem. And so he's all about helping the people. I mean, this is information that we need to know as a society, because we have these specific leaders in place that are doing corrupt things against us. So
It's true.
And that's exactly what he was trying to expose, and that's exactly why they put him on a witch hunt.
Yep, on a witch hunt, and I'm a little disappointed in our orange man. I mean, I'm glad he got thrown into the system and made everything get all discombobulated so we could see it. All that I'm glad for. But I saw one of the things was earlier footage when he WikiLeaked all of Hillary's emails, and there's Donald saying, I love this WikiLeaks guy. It's beautiful. He's in his Donald voice. And then all of a sudden it goes against him, not him, but the administration. And suddenly he's freaking out. And now all of a sudden he doesn't love it. And I'm like, dude, principles and morals require you to not flip flop quite so drastically, So
yes, exactly.
It took a notch off. It took a notch off the orange man for me. So
I felt I picked an appropriate cup for my tea tonight.
Freedom.
Got my Captain America.
I got one too. Black.
Yep. Well, that's what we're about this show, liberating the individual and freedom. So.
Freedom, liberating the individual. So Julian Assange, why don't we pull up his chart?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's the man. So Australian editor, publisher, activist, 2006. So WikiLeaks. He's on, you're going to love this. So we live out our incarnation crosses. We really do. You're always referring to yours. I know I refer to mine a lot. And this is the archetype that we live out. We get to develop our mythology around what that incarnation cross says. And Julian Assange is on the cross of tension. He will bring tension wherever he goes. Now, that doesn't have to be incredible tension. It doesn't have to be like, if it's in a marriage, it doesn't have to be tension that leads to divorce. There is just tension. And you know what the tension is surrounding? It's surrounding the truth. That's where the tension is.
Well, I would say that's spot on. Before we dive in, I just want to say there is a typo on the birth date. I forgot to change that. So if you need it, let me know.
Isn't it? It's June 3rd. Oh, July 3rd, not June 12th.
Yes, that was last week.
This is someone else.
So just to let anybody know who watches this, there is a typo on that. If you want the correct
thanks
birthday.
For pointing that out. The birth date is it's just the wrong birth date, totally.
Everything else has changed.
Well, let me rattle off what I have here. So the birth date I have here is July 3rd, 1971 in Townsville, Australia. And we went with instead of 3 p.m., which is what I saw on the sites that had his astrology chart, I started dialing back and forth, and I came up with 2:30 p.m. I came up with a half hour earlier because of several things, and one of them is this thing that he just seems to do. So
yes, well, we our shows, we get our data from the internet, so we don't have the exact time. And I know that I think they were using 3 o'clock as a general.
Yep, as a general time. So I was dialing back and forth. I even went way earlier, and he was a 1-3 profile in the wee hours of the morning, and then he was a 1-4 profile. As I watched him, that stuff didn't quite fit. It didn't seem like it fit. The 2-4 profile fit him far more. And then I had noticed that his moon was changing. It was changing, and the moon had changed into his unconscious 53-2, and that made more sense than what it was before. So, not to mention, down at the bottom of his body graph, look, it's smiling at us. At the very bottom of his body graph, he's got 2 individual.
It is.
2 individual channels. Remember, individual circuitry is part of one of the 4 main circuit groups. And individual circuitry is all about empowering, trying to empower the other and empower the struggle, empower the spirit. So it's empowering the self and empowering the other mostly. More it's to empower the other. So what does he do? He broadcasts this stuff that empowers all of us. A half hour later, that channel of struggle on the left from 38 to 28, from this down at the bottom, the root center going all the way up to the spleen. Mm-hmm. It's a black channel with a red checkers on gate 38. That channel wasn't there. a half hour later, that channel left. And that's what made me dial it back a little bit, because this is the channel of struggle. He must struggle for a purpose. Stubbornly, he must struggle for his purpose. And it's part of his incarnation cross, that 39 and 38 on the top right. And so it just seemed to fit a lot more that this would be it. That he would have this channel of stubbornness, a channel that will get sad when the purpose is not being fulfilled, a channel that will basically, it will make influence of others go away. Basically, others can't influence him.
I am sure that it is really affecting him sitting in jail as long as he has.
Oh yeah, that's torture for at least half the day, but for half the day it's not torture. They couldn't have picked a better guy to jail as it relates to surviving the jail, potentially. Now I don't know, because it depends. Julian Assange may be living out much of his design and maybe living out his cross and how he's designed to be sort of in interaction with the world. However, we can't speak to how Julian Assange is dealing with his inner self. And he could be going through all kinds of turmoil. I mean, he's got open head, open ajna. So he could just be flooded with stuff. But when he's a 2-4, a hermit. So they just put him in a hermit space where I would like to think half the time he's just right at home. I mean, I'm not saying happy. I'm just saying, like, as soon as he's distracted, that second line can go, that profile line can go away and be happy to be left alone. The channel of struggle is happy to be left alone. Don't try to influence me. His whole chart is loaded with don't try to influence me, more so than other charts we've looked at. So that was why I went with a half hour earlier. And then the channel on the other side that goes from 39 up to 55.
That's that 55.
55 stays alive. I'm noticing a lot in these big players that we care about, these larger players that are influencing and shaping our awareness and knowledge of the corruption of our general systems that are crushing down on us. The spirit seems to show up more. It's as if the spirit arrives when the crushing begins. Government crushes the people, the spirit rises up. And so let's demystify this word spirit, because it's in his body graph, it's in the world. And this is his own selfishness to acquire and provoke his own spirit. He will selfishly guard his spirit in an individual channel that says, don't try to influence me. He can't help it. Don't tell me not to publish. Don't tell me to anything, literally. And it's emotional. So as soon as he goes down.
Yeah, I saw that. He is emotional. So
yes. And so as soon as he goes down on his wave, which ultimately he will, that melancholy is even more. Don't try to influence me. Mm-hmm. It's even more so. And then when he goes back up on his wave, he's flipping everyone the bird. Don't try to influence me. Except he doesn't actually flip the bird. He's got too much self-control. His gate 21, look at his design, Sun Earth, 21 and 48. Mm-hmm. So 48 is all about the depth. He will constantly be adding to the depth of his awareness so that he can logically identify with something he cares to share. He cares to share the depth he keeps acquiring. That's why he gets stronger and stronger the more he is in the business of WikiLeaks, because the depth keeps growing. When you have gate 48, the depth doesn't stop accruing the whole lifetime. Your last gasping breath, you'll add a nugget of depth. It's there the whole lifetime. And he's giving that to the world. It's in the collective circuitry. It must be shared. But it's that 21 that stands out. It's called strategy. He must control things. He's trying to control his arena, but that gate 21 is in an open center, so it's intermittent. So he's insecure about the control he can or can't have. It seems like he's out of control sometimes, which it does seem like he's out of control sometimes. But he's always around people. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I watched some of the videos because I was looking for videos too today, and I couldn't download any. So I guess it was meant to be not to have any of the clips. But hearing him talk, he is very, like, I can tell he puts a lot of, even when he has something to respond to, he puts a lot of thought in what he's about to say. So you have to have a level of self-control to do that.
Well, genetically speaking, so we're all designed to be these little aspects of our design leading into the archetype of our cross, living out our profile, right? So they all matter. And his design Earth, his design sun driving him, it's called strategy. Does this sound like Julian? Careful appraisal of opposing forces to establish a proper response. Careful appraisal. Now he can't help that. He can't help it. So someone would be like, Julian, pull the trigger. Careful appraisal. We've got opposing forces. I have to develop the right response. Now, what's the right response? The right response is him. He's a generator. So the right response is literally what his emotional wave comes to clarity over after it gathers his responsive truths, keeps gathering the responses, and then soon it creates a picture of clarity for him. So he might have been gathering responses in jail and all that confinement in the embassy. What was the Ecuadorian embassy that he had gone to? He might have been developing new clarity that he doesn't care to provoke anymore or less, or, I'm sure they're trying to break his spirit. If anything, this red unconscious Gate 55 spirit of his drew authorities to him to try and break his spirit. Julian Assange is a target to have his spirit broken. So that
that's spot on.
Yeah, and that appears to be like what's happening. He wouldn't know this. It's unconscious in him. So he just knows that Gate 39 wants to provoke things. And you know what that provocation looks like? It looks like exactly what Gate 38 does. Gate 38 and 39 want to tell the truth. The provocation is in the truth. That's A. And the provocation is in doing nothing. So the government's asking him to stop. He doesn't do it. Everyone says, hey, you might need to change your tune. He doesn't respond. He just holds in. The provocation is he must try and tell the truth. And in doing so, when people come against him, he provokes them by not giving them too much stuff because of a careful appraisal of opposing forces to determine the right response. Now, that's baked into his genome. He can't help that. The ego...
I like that skill. That's like a superpower right there.
They all are, but this is definitely a superpower, and it's the ego to succeed them on this plane, and the instinct to use his own willpower effectively in response to the conditioning of others. So the world is trying to condition Julian Assange. The political world is trying to condition him to shut the flock up. Stop talking. They're trying to condition him, and he is resisting that conditioning because he's a 2-4. He's a hermit. He's got a shell around him. People can't break and pierce that veil very easily. Basically, he's in his own little space, and something has to call him out. And when it calls him out, then yes, he will vocally externalize his provocation of opposing forces. And he is not above provoking the opposing forces.
No, he's not.
It feeds the truth in his spirit. He's a prime example of humanity on the ascendancy. I don't know what his personal life is like. At home, maybe he was married. Maybe his wife has some things to say. Maybe whatever. Who knows on the mundane level. But as soon as we strip away all those conditioning and homogenizing effects and forces on him, when the real Julian Assange stands up, he's provoking the spirit of the world by telling everyone the truth in a way in which he controls it. He can't help it.
Yes. And that's exactly what, when you go back and watch any of his videos, it's exactly what he's doing.
Absolutely. I wish, I could have gotten this TED Talk one, because you can see this 2-4 profile show up all over the way he not only responds, but in the way in which he is, he's called. So remember this primary function in the profiles. Wherever you see a second line in a profile, that's where that person can be called. And you remember this energy. We've gone over this before. Every profile line has its special thing. There's the investigator. There's the heretic that will trumpet the news. And then there are those who are called. Now you tell me that, I mean, it's like the heart of a volunteer. It's like to the most committed goes the victory type thing. You know, what stops a person who's been called? Death.
Yeah.
You know, or things close to it. You know, I suppose, hey, they shot the guy's kneecaps off. Maybe he'll stop at that point. But
I don't even think some people would, especially right now, because I'll say what he is doing, that's a massive purpose, as a lot of people that like me and you are doing it. I am all 100% mission based, and I do feel that there are a lot of people like that would do that because it's freeing humanity.
it really is. And again, think of this beautiful, I call it a godlike energy in a way, because as a second line, it carves out its own bubble around itself to remain free of external influence. So it's sitting there waiting for the call. Now it's in a generator, so he can respond in waiting for the call. So when that response came and he took the call, again, please, somebody chime in on what they think stops somebody who feels called into their cause. You know, the Jesuit priests came over to Canada and the Indians boiled them in oil, and they went down holding their rosary beads because they were all called into the mission. You know, there's a million examples of this. The people who you can be called. When you're called, that's a hard thing to turn off. It's
You
not
can't.
like, yeah.
That's where I got when after I had my divine experience, and it literally projected me into like learning and building my business. And there were moments where I was like, it was like a drive. And it does, when you know that you are here for a greater thing. You know, people that are here during this awakening, we signed up to be here. And when you realize that, and you wake up to that, it is that drive.
It very, very, very much is.
I'm a superhero. Like I do Clark Kent sometimes, you know?
Yep. No, I absolutely love it. It's one of these things that you just can't turn it off. So for anyone in the audience and anyone who sees this video at a later date, wherever there are second lines in your body graph, you look up and down the left-hand side, the red and the black sets of planets, and wherever you see second lines in your body graph, that's where you too can be called innocently. See, the call is innocent. It's that of a child. The child is called. And because if it were totally up to the adult, most adults, if their child didn't say, hey, this is good for me, most adults would turn off that call. When I say most, I mean most adults would then do what all their open centers say to do. Oh, be afraid. I don't know enough stuff. There's too many details. I'll get in too much trouble. I'm not worthy. I'm not in the right direction. I can't find love and direction. All of these open centers that he has would take him away from that calling. So he's loaded down with second lines. If you look down the right-hand side of his set of information, of his personality information, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5. So out of 13, so better than 1/3 of Julian Assange's personality receives the call. Not to mention, he's got a 713 in second lines. Those are his personality nodes. So the 13-2 is the bigot. The bigot who's not bigoted, by the way, let's make sure we're putting this term in context. It's the bigot as it relates to the willingness to listen to the other. In other words, I'm turning off your information. I'm bigoting your information that you're now telling me. So they're open to a certain amount, a little bit is their openness to listening. And then once they've heard enough, they do what second lines do, and their bubble goes back up and they stop listening. Don't try to influence me anymore. I heard enough. So, and if the other person keeps talking, the second line personality is like, I don't want to hear you anymore. That's what we call bigotry, and it's personal. So I'm bigoting your personal information coming in on me now. 2 minutes ago, I wasn't. 2 minutes later, I am. Sorry, that's how I roll. So this 7 and this 13 are in his nodes. This is his trajectory. His path through life was always going to be the leadership that listens to an extent and then leads its way through the act of harmony with others in the form of leadership that is relatively democratic. So his whole team, I promise you, if we go meet his team, we're going to find people of all different walks of life, all different types, maybe not different walks of life. Maybe they're all just like him. I don't know. But I would guess all different types of people that have one thing in common: trust and truth, because they're the only things that will answer this natural's call. Second line's a natural. So wherever you see second lines in your body graph, that's where you can be called. And the thing is, the call is you don't even know it's coming, because the second line doesn't know anything. It doesn't know until it's called. So he's just sitting around in his house with the windows open, and he doesn't even know people are looking in until suddenly something calls him. This man and his mission act as somebody who was called into it, period.
I would say that is spot on.
Now, the fourth line in his profile, in his personality profile, on the left-hand side. So the 2 is that going to be called, he's a little bit shy as well, I notice. He is shy. So this man's not out being a Casanova. And now that fourth line just wants to make friends with people, wants to be friendly. So what happens? People show up and start talking to his gate 13, which is the listener. Julian Assange is a design of a listener who, through his call, will provoke the powers in order to stubbornly tell the truth to fulfill his purpose and fill his spirit. Again, those are all keynote. I didn't make that up. I'm keynoting his graph, and I think that's pretty cool.
That sounds a lot like him.
So that fourth line. Now, that 21 is this careful appraisal, and that 48 is, again, a form of careful appraisal of choosing to basically externalize the depth. So he must take control of the depth that he will externalize. In his TED Talk, I watched him very clearly say, hey, we don't let everything out. If we can't corroborate a thing and or chase it down a little bit, we don't just publish anything. So he's carefully appraising what he lets out. You can't just go onto WikiLeaks, dump it all, and have it go out without their team looking through it. Mm-hmm. And he's got it, and he's beautiful in this way, because he's got it set up to where he doesn't know the people that are leaking.
No,
he doesn't know them. He said there's a few rare examples where apparently that wasn't the case, but it's rare, and so primarily whatever goes up there, he doesn't know them. He doesn't know them until he finds out later in the news when someone was arrested for giving him the information. That is a dangerous tightrope that, I can count on a natural to walk, because he didn't even know. And then once he gets into
I was just going to say that. I don't even think he saw that coming or any of this, really.
Part of him saw it coming. He's got 1/5 line in his body graph that would be practical to conflict. The practicality of recognizing conflict is in his Pluto's truth. So he probably recognized some of it, but hey, a good second line can ignore all of that stuff and just run with it. You've seen me do that. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, you have to censor some of the information I get now and again for my own protection. I mean, so that I'm not gestating on that while we're working on something else. Yes, you do that because you love me, Jen, and I think that's perfect. I'm okay with it. If we need to know.
I love you too, Dan.
Yeah, if we need to know, then you'll tell me. That's good.
That's exactly it. And I'm learning the more that I am in the experiment, and I see it playing out in my own life. I'm understanding that. So.
Julian Assange is a child in a man's body. You can count on all 2 4s living out their real profile to essentially be a child living in an adult body. There's a little kid in there that can't wait but to get a hold of the new sandbox and play in it.
Right?
It's like, because it's shiny. Don't make shiny things go, or Julian Assange is going to dart. His profile lines at 39.2. Did I read this live, or I read this to you behind the scenes before?
I don't think so.
I don't think I read it live. So Line 2, so 39, obstruction. It's this provocation, this genetic way humanity has to provoke the spirit of the other in intimate, passionately in union with the other, to provoke the spirit, okay? And we all know this is about spirit awareness. This is where we're headed. We've got mental awareness. We got a good handle on that. We got lots of mental awareness. Hey, Jen, me and you have to think about stuff soon. Bam, we're thinking. We don't think too hard on how are we going to think. Our thinking works just fine. And
Correct.
if we knock heads, we start thinking. We're really aware of our mental awareness. We're really aware of our splenic awareness. The spleen on the left that says, hey, fight or flight, duck, run, jump. You know, everyone knows real quick, I got a good feeling here, so they walk away. So we're aware that we're in tune with our intuition. We don't always trust it, I grant you, but we're aware that it's there because we always say afterwards, you know, I knew it, I shouldn't have done that thing, or I knew it, I should have. So we're aware that we've got this intuition that's always penetrating the future by about an inch or a half inch.
Okay.
It penetrates a little beyond what we can see. Though the veil is here and our intuition penetrates maybe a half inch or an inch beyond that. Now that's rather superhuman all by itself. Why should we penetrate anything? You know, it's who says? And then comes this emotional spirit awareness, and that's waking up in us. It's waking up in Julian. And Julian can't control it because it's red. It's unconscious in him. I love that about Julian. What, Jen?
No, I wasn't going to say anything. I'm listening to you.
So I love this about Julian because it means he can't corrupt his spirit. We corrupt our black lines all the time by thinking they think they need to know what to do. They don't. You know, we think we are them. But you can't think anything about a red line. It's unconscious. Your body's chemistry delivers it to you. It's emotional. It's connected to his solar plex center. So his emotional awareness shows up. And for him, I can envision that as just adding to the call. It just adds to the calling. And let's see, it's in, I love this. Look on the left-hand side. 55. Fine gate 55 on the left-hand side. It's in his Mercury. It's in his Venus, right? Abundance. The possibility of finding spirit through the acquisition of various types of material. I mean, we're humans. We like to acquire material. Yeah. Knowledge is a material.
Yes.
It's one of our biggest materials because we're so mind-oriented.
And he acquired a lot of different material.
A lot of different material and knowledge, and it helped provide a material way for him. And he, that helped fills his spirit. And look where it's placed. It's placed in his Venus. His Venus unconsciously is driving how his morals will eventually be cemented and concretized into the law of how he will operate. Julian Assange must struggle for the purpose that provokes the spirit in the now and empowers humanity to basically have the material of all the knowledge that he has. Moralistically, he is completely justified. Moralistically, it's true for him in his truth to feel called to do what the fourth line does, externalize. That fourth line's all about externalizing, becoming influential, networking, wanting to play with the Democrat and sort of stay in the mix without ruffling too many feathers until he has to. That fourth line just wants to talk and spill it. And so whenever he gets going, what happens? He externalizes all the truth that he then gathers beforehand.
Yep.
So he's designed to naturally gather the truth that he then acquires and accumulates, and through the rules of the mores and the morals that he will develop over his lifetime, that's got to be shared. Got to give it. I've got to empower others with it. It's feeding my depth. I must give that depth to the other. Julian Assange is someone who must share the material he gathers naturally as an influential networker who will externalize these truths. Now, he's designed to become influential. I'd say he's done a reasonably good job of this.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, he's on the cross of tension. He is designed to create tense environments, not because he's a douchebag or a dork. It's because he's designed to spill what is his truth.
which he's passionate about.
Yes. Now think about how much tension truth actually makes in our not self world. Hey, don't tell her. Yeah, keep that a secret. Just don't. I told you, but don't tell the other guy. Well, that's a lie. Granted, we all do it, to one degree or another, but it's worth recognizing the agreement to not tell somebody is the agreement to lie. It might be a little thing. I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but I am going to recognize it. And so it's about telling the truth. And this guy, he can't help it. Doesn't mean he never lies. In his personal life, he's probably a lying little bastard sometimes. He's got an open ego. So every time someone asks him, Julian, will you definitely do that? And he says, yes, I will, quote unquote, will. He doesn't have the willpower to keep his promises. So sometimes he doesn't do what he says he's going to do. Okay. I forgive him that. And here's Julian. He's not trying to prove anything. If you've got an open ego, you're not here to prove anything. You ego people love to prove stuff. That's your job. You prove it, but not Julian. He's here to basically, he's got nothing to prove. He's got an open ego. So that's going to serve him well in court. If he actually has to go to court and he lives out his design, chances are he will bring the tension of his truth into that courtroom, and he stands every chance of getting off.
Oh, I could imagine the tension that will be in that courtroom.
Absolutely.
I mean, he has definitely living out his incarnation cross.
He is living out the incarnation cross. Yes.
Yes. There's a lot of tension around him on two different sides. He's speaking out about the media, and then you have the media calling him a terrorist and, a hacker and doing not good things. But the information, here's the thing, seeking truth goes to the individual of actually going and looking at the information for themselves.
Right.
Once it got leaked, you can bet that there were so many people out there that made copies of it themselves. So
good. That's the idea.
That causes a lot of tension as well. So ever since this started, it has been a snowball that has slowly become a huge snowball.
Yes.
So
a big fat ball of tightly wound tension.
Yep. It's going to be an avalanche as soon as that, if there is a court hearing and everything. Yep. I checked up on that. I don't think he's going to be extradited anytime soon.
Well, again, Dr. Donald Trump, who likes to appear so calm and cool when he talks about this and that, and he holds his composure most of the time, except when he's getting red in his face and you can see it. This guy has filled so much tension into that place that he lost his shit. Donald did. He's like, we got to shut this guy up. Politically speaking, from a national security point of view, it's entirely impossible that, that there's harm. There's harm being brought from all this. When I say entirely possible, it's likely. But having said that, it's irrelevant because the man must.
To who?
Well, it's irrelevant to us because we want the truth. We all know bad things already happen. If we know the truth, Jennifer, it's not like we don't stand behind God and country in order for you and I to be in a tribe and keep ourselves alive. We can handle the truth. And in telling the truth, we can handle the advocacy to stop certain behaviors that we don't think we need anymore.
Exactly.
And that
is why it is important to have the truth, because otherwise you're just burying your head in the sand and you're living a lie and creating the problem, not the solution. I did not, on my journey of, researching, there was a lot of things I was not happy when I uncovered it, but that was cognitive dissonance. And I quickly learned what that was. Not everybody has the answers. Not everything that you see is going to be the answers. And that's why it is important to awaken to who you truly are so that you can start practicing discernment.
It's exactly discernment all day long. So One more time, I'm going to keynote this incarnation cross, but this time from the left to the right. Julian Assange will find a way to strategically take control of what it is that he will strategically externalize. He will take control of the depth that he will externalize while he provokes the forces in his struggle to tell the truth in order to fulfill his purpose and fill the spirit of himself and the other. That's pretty deep, man. Now he can't help that. And if he fights it, he'll live a miserable life. And if he goes with it, he'll get out of jail. Maybe. I hope. I can't speak to the forces that crush him, but.
Well, yeah, that's only because he's got, he's already made the statement that what he has, if it comes out, 98% of Washington won't be there. It's a huge number.
Yep, I'm okay with that. Drain that swamp.
You know how I feel about it.
I do.
I want the truth no matter what. It's important because if we take a step back the way that humanity is, we shouldn't be living like this.
Nope. It's an absolute fact. Any guests have anything to say, or Kyle, did he want to come on?
Yeah, I've got some comments. Kyle clapped.
Thank you, Kyle.
We have Savannah on. She said he has a channel of Struggle 28 and 38 here to fight his purpose. Yeah, you dove into that at the beginning, didn't you?
Won't back down.
Nope, won't back down.
Won't back down easily. He will not back. He can't bear to back down. It hurts. It hurts his spirit to back down.
Lee says family can be a stopper. I'm seeing that's, but I'm seeing that's not stopping many either. Hi, cheers to that one.
Lee, good call. You know what? We cannot let our family stop us. They may love us, but they can't know. Unless they've all been read and they're practicing, they're in their own experiment. I can't trust my family to stop me, no matter how much my mother loves me. You know what I mean? I love you, Mother, but, I love you, Dad, all that stuff. But, I can't be stopped by them if they say, Dan, stop doing this or start, it's not going to work.
Nope.
So I want to keynote a couple other interesting things in his body graph.
Okay.
The arrows.
Okay.
We haven't gone into a great big thing about these arrows. I'm not ready to go into that yet. But this develops everything to do with cognition and our path through life. Actually, the trajectory we're going to end up taking from the beginning through to the end. That's the cycle from birth to death. And notice he's only got one left-facing arrow.
Yep.
So
I noticed that.
Personality, that's the personality cognition. It's strategic, active. He's strategically, actively, literally staring into all the things that he can strategically do something about. Now, if he chooses to drive himself crazy about what his open head and ajna will do, tell him that there's too many things to pay attention to and too many formulas to come up with and too many things he's not certain about. If he allows that to take him away from his nature, then this strategery in him will be nothing but torture, because all the other arrows are pointing right, open, receptive, peripheral, not focused. So Julian Assange focuses best when he strategically is onto something in the moment and doesn't require any more than his strategic mind to want something. Again, all that individual definition can be further keynoted with want. He wants, and that's great energy. I love that energy of want. Want drives many things. Everybody has want in them to varying degrees. This cat's loaded with want. And so he would want to go in there to that right-facing brain, that right-facing environment, that right-facing view of his that is so peripheral, it takes in everything. So Julian Assange is just a collector taking in everything. He's got gate 13, so he's the listener. People want to tell him stuff. He takes it all in because he can't help it, and then strategically knows how to focus and point that. And if he doesn't get caught up with trying to go in there and get that stuff himself, then he's doing a good job. If he tries to go in there and say, I know the answers, I'm going to go in there, on my white piece of paper and figure it all out myself, oh, he's going to get lost. That white piece of paper is going to stay white. He's not even going to know where to start half the time. And along comes WikiLeaks. And what does WikiLeaks do? This is more than just this is his serendipity. WikiLeaks relieves his left-facing brain that wants to be strategic, but can't help but to only take in tons and tons of data. It just takes in.
And he's got an open head center too.
Yes, which is designed to take in and take in and take in. And so, right. And so what does WikiLeaks provide? Serendipitously, WikiLeaks provides a right-facing brain arrow's wet dream. It provides all the stuff to keep pouring in. It provides him with oceans of stuff to keep, so he doesn't have to go in there and get it. People provide him stuff. All he has to do is be like, oh, I'm a generator. I'm responding.
I was going to just say, he's just responding.
Yeah, something new. Yeah, what's this? As soon as he picks up the piece of paper to say, what's this? Boom, the calling comes out. The struggle is worth the struggle. The spirit is filling up. He's reading the stuff. It's all happening right now. Oh, that's good for him. Not because he went into his own self and figured out what needed to be done next, because he strategically saw that it came in and he knew strategically what to do with it. His personality is very strategic. And the rest of him, it takes in all the sensory data of his environment, the sensory data of his peripheral vision. That's just peripherally taking in everything. So no wonder he's all paranoid. He's like, dude, everyone's out to get me. He's right. He took that in and strategically figured it out. And he created a platform to feed what in our society would be considered a detriment, those right-facing arrows. In our society wants everything to be strategic, focused, active, right on the ball. You go in there, you get it yourself. You figure it out. That's what society is currently still trying to condition us to be as we try to break that mold, Jen, you and I, and the other readers and human design in general. So there's that interesting feature. And then there is this very interesting feature, which fits right into everything, 3420. See that gate of channel of charisma. The sacral has gate 34. And it goes all the way up to 20. This is a common definition. Elon Musk had this. Lots of people have this. It's a very common definition in humanity. It's a must-have. This is in the integration circuitry. This is all about self-empowerment. He must empower his own self. And he must be called to what he empowers. Look at gate 20 on the right-hand side, down 2/3 the way down. Gate 20 is in the second line. So his right now that receives all that sacral power, his right now must externalize and feel called in, must be called into his right now. And he delivers himself a platform that gives him no shortage of right now to be called into. It's called WikiLeaks. He can't go wrong. So this channel of charisma is a design of where awareness must become deed. So a memo comes over the wire and he sees the new thing. Immediately his awareness is, we must do something with this. This is the great generative power to act like a manifester in response, to go out and just do, but first from a response. So again, he develops WikiLeaks to give him gobs and gobs of stuff to respond to. It's a prosthetic. It's like a prosthetic arm. When you lost your arm or you lost your leg and you have a prosthetic so you can still walk. So he developed a platform that would like an outside prosthetic, keep handing him the stuff that he needs so he can keep responding. He delivered him a responding pond, a pond of responsiveness. And he did that for himself naturally. And then suddenly the channel of charisma kicks in and immediately great power must deliver its awareness in the now. Great power delivering awareness in the now as a response, meaning no end to it. No end. Integration. It must self-empower himself first. Not you, Jen, not me, him. He is about empowering himself first as it relates to this. And what does it do? It speaks. And I've watched him in interviews. Someone says something, he says something right back. He's got no shortage of responses, and he is quick at it, fast, This integration definition is hard to kill. And lo and behold, the man was hard to kill. I mean,
Yes.
and literally, it's hard to kill. Not impossible. It's just hard. And so right in his now, that's his primary generative definition is 3420. So how does he respond right now, right now, right now? So put it all together. You've got a 2-4 profile that's called right in the now to deliver all the power of the generative sacral box buzzing with energy to deliver him the purpose that he's willing to fight for and the spirit that he will provoke and the principles he will carry. He's got the gate of principles delivered to him twice in his body graph. It's just, it's amazing what's in this guy. I need to read out his gate 39. You're going to love this. Oh, I love this when I read this. So naturally, poor Julian, his poor mother, Julian, my condolences to your mom because she had to deal with you. He was a terror when he was growing up. I wish we had his mom on. You're going to love this. Confrontation, direct and intellectual assault to obstacles, the energy to provoke through direct assault. He's genetically built with the genetic proclivity to basically assault confrontation. Confrontation comes at him, he assaults it back. How? Naturally. When? With the great power in the now. Why? To fill his spirit. How? In a stubborn way to make sure the other can't make him back down. When? Over and over. Through what means? Externalized out to the world. Holy cow. I mean, this is just dead on.
Yeah, dead on. Savannah asks, "What gate is the gate of principle?"
49. It's off the and it's in a defined emotional solar plex center. So tribally speaking, this man must deliver the principles that will feed the tribe. Now he's not concerned with their direct food necessarily. He's feeding them the knowledge.
Yes.
Knowledge which he's acquiring through the acquisition of the 6th line of his gate 55, which must morally fill himself with the material of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something he can't help that.
That's pretty spot on, Dan.
It's spooky how spotted. Now you know why I wanted why I wanted Lori Bell to come on and do some face reading. Because she would have done a face read and then I would have come on and see how that matched up afterwards.
We're definitely going to do that with somebody. So you guys will be posting on that.
Be Lori. Lori is perfect. Lori Bell is amazing. Lori Bell, which is modern hypnotherapy. I think it is on Instagram. We love her. She's great. You don't know her yet, but trust me, you will love her. She's beautiful. She's a projector. She's emotional. She knows her stuff. And she's just a wonderful, bright human being. So I'm not going to bother keynoting his open centers too terribly much. That's where he went awry. Yeah, I still want to chart for one more second because that was his gate 39, which was there to provoke the assault of the other, to provoke it. But his gate 38 has something else, the oppositional fighter. He is the fighter, the ability to preserve individual integrity through opposition to detrimental forces. That's in his incarnation cross. Now, notice personal integrity again. This just means their truth. So the fight in him, and it comes out of the root center. So what's the root center? Adrenaline. So the adrenalized energy to oppose the opposition and maintain his integrity through opposition to detrimental forces. It's and dude, this is so well hidden in him. So nobody saw Julian Assange coming. Why? Because inside of his incarnation cross, that second line is called politeness. So here's Julian Assange. He's got a polite face. He's got a polite right?
The way he talks,
yeah.
I mean,
he's wicked polite. What they don't know is there's a fighter underneath that's about to blow it all open. Hidden in the second line politeness. What does politeness do for a second line? It keeps them away. It's like, no, I was polite to them. They're not going to influence me. I was polite. They're good. They're not coming after me until they directly and overtly challenge me. And then I will directly and overtly challenge them back. How? As a person whose adrenalized energy is called. into the
He's
wreckage.
actually designed perfectly to be in that position that he's doing.
Absolutely. And the last thing I want to keynote are his four or five red. Remember last week or the week before we did what the red lines are doing for us?
Yes.
I think last week. So unconsciously, we can't bastardize our unconscious lines. We can suffer because we don't know them and we're not aware that they're part of our physical structure. And we have to make peace with our red lines, with the design, with the design information. So help me spot these, Jen, and then I'll keynote them out real quick. So gate 4 at the very top.
Okay.
So gate 4, making a formula. Gate 23, synthesizing off of the throat, right off the throat, pointing up.
Making a formula synthesizing.
Yeah, and then gate 23 off of the throat center, which is the explanation, is synthesizing and basically through a metamorphic process, being able to explain that which was just noise a moment earlier, turning that into articulate explanation. Okay. Gate 21, which we already went over, control. And then gate 53, I realized I could do the other gates down there, but gate 53 and 55. So 53 off the root center, that's about beginning something. It's the adrenalized experiential drive to share the beginning. And then gate 55, the spirit.
The spirit.
So unconsciously, this is what I love about this. One of the things I love about this man. So unconsciously, Julian Assange will naturally and accidentally and serendipitously fall into the formulas that he can suddenly explain that helps unlock the spirit of that which he's going to begin and have control over. And break through the resistance of ordering and to a new beginning and be focused and concentrated on all of that.
Yes, that's exactly what he's doing.
He's doing it unconsciously, and he's figured out that that's a thing. But if I could get to Julian, I would read for him, and he would start to see, holy cow, I will be okay in court if I just realize I've got nothing to prove and I speak my truth in the now stubbornly. I'll provoke the jury to not send me to jail. If they probably will try to not allow him a jury trial.
Yeah.
So this is Julian Assange's beautiful, beautiful body graph, living out his design out in the world. Again, I have no doubt that inside in his personal individual life, he's still all messed up in plenty of ways because he doesn't know this information. He doesn't know that his truth comes as only a response first. He's not aware of that. So he goes through his own emotional turmoil up and down. He doesn't have a name for his emotional wave, Jennifer. You know, he's got names that talk doctors have maybe told him. And, you know, how confusing is that to the open head, open ajna, right? So, you know, that's a lot to go through. But he's still living out his design. And what all of this leads me to is that if we could start to get into the psychoanalysis version of things to really help people, we could do away with the psychiatry couches of this world and start doing in with the people to come to human design to get their real analytical analysis of their ways done and get off the drugs, or at least get the drugs put into their right compartments, not really needed. Nothing against pharmaceuticals, but what do they know? Same thing with couples counseling, couples therapy, couples aid. And I don't know what words that won't get me sued, but I like counseling. I will counsel couples. I don't think that's a word that's been patented in such a way that I can't say it out loud.
No, I think you can say that. Also, kids as well. Don't forget kids. Parents who want to learn more about their kids.
Yep.
Highly recommend. Sorry for the dogs in the back, but
all good.
Guys, the links below to inquire about all that is all down below. You can see it scrolling. And then I have my website up there as well. For those of you who are looking to or need help with the deconditioning process. Sorry, someone just came in. So definitely check us out and book your session with Dan.
That sounds really good. And one announcement on my end, as soon as Jen, you and I truly figure out how to, I know you got to go. As soon as we truly figure out how to get this scheduler working, I'm going to remove my email and all that other stuff, because the truth of the matter is I'm getting data from too many spaces, and I think I've already missed a person or two. If you're out there and you've emailed me and I've missed you or whatever, if we've lost track of each other, bring yourself back up to the top. Just call my phone, text me. I know that's still there. And we'll get you going. And last thing I need to make an announcement on, I will teach you, get your asses in here. If you've got a curiosity, come be a person who now knows. Come be a person who learns. I will teach you. We need more understudies. We need more proteges. We need more people that understand the teacher-student relationship and have a desire. If that desire is there, I will put this knowledge in you, and you will be able to have it for yourself and go forth and multiply like we're trying to do. You know, come join the team and be really kick-ass at it. Bring your heart.
We're working on a course outline for you. So,
Yep.
And also we are working on getting the scheduler up as well.
Cool. So those are my things. And the last thing I'll say about Julian Assange, just to have a nice quippy ending thing too. Julian, you keep doing what you're doing, because naturally, for whatever serendipitous way, you've fallen into a position where you have actually fulfilled your own spirit, my brother. And as hard as it is, stay yourself, stay true, and you will survive whatever court battles are coming up.
Love it.
Love you, buddy.
Yes. Thank you guys for everybody who tuned in. Don't forget to tune in to Sunday's episode, which is Life Forces Within Your Human Design Body Graph, a discussion about the channels and why they are called our life force. So that will take place at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific Standard Time. So
bring your questions. We're going to answer all about the life force.
Yes. So thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next week.
Peace out, everyone.
Bye.